Welcome to American Party. We have a very special guest today, Dutch. We'll leave it at that for now. We'll get into the rest later.
So special.
Well, special is, up to the interpretation of whomever's
listening. Yeah. So the biggest thing for me is this is special coming in here because this is sexy. You guys got some cool shit going on here.
Yeah. The good news is we're moving it.
You just put all the knickknacks up and then you got to move everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these sets are so long that they were built in here, so I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work.
We have a full bar here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have to move the whole bar.
Well, we're moving to a new studio location. That one of the buildings, I think it's 3,000 square foot buildings. One of them will be our podcast studios. We have like 4 or 5 different sets and shit like that, or 6 maybe, I don't remember. And then the other building is going to be a bar. So that'll make things a lot more, alcoholic for us. So you're a well-traveled individual.
I've done some traveling.
Yeah. So give me some of your backstory.
I guess what I tell people in a regular bio, I'd say 31 years United States Army. 26 of those years were special operations community. I was a 175 Ranger. Mm-hmm. And then I went on to bigger and better things, quote unquote, made the jump to light speed and went to JSOC as an operator for about 14 years. Finally retired in 2013, thinking that I would never carry a rifle or a pistol ever again in my entire life. Because that's what I think you want to get away from that stuff maybe sometimes. And then so I opened up an off-road company. It was DCM Off-Road.
Off-road, what is that? What do you mean an off-road company?
Off-road. So
like
if you build, like Robbie Gordon Off-Road, like BJ Baldwin Motorsports, like
building trucks and shit.
Yeah, man, we did a great
souping up Jeeps.
We did some great stuff. We lived where the company was right on the edge of Uwharrie National Forest, where there's a lot of extreme 4-wheel drive there, ATVs, farmers. So there's all kinds of stuff like that going on. So we built a whole bunch of trucks. We built mine, and I basically took a 2010 Ford Raptor and dumped about $150K into it, and it became Super Raptor, more like a Class 7 truck probably. Mm. But I tell everybody, I said, here's the thing: if you want to make $2 million, or you want to make $1 million in that job, that business, you start off with $2 million.
Yeah,
because you break everything, you just break it.
It's yeah. It's like a boat bust out another 1,000 kind of situation.
And if you're not part of the McMillans, the Baldwins, the Herbst, Gordon family, you're not making any money, man.
No.
And I was nobody. So we'd take our truck, we'd haul it from North Carolina to the desert. So that's already a logistical issue, and it would break. You'd break it. You go back and fix it, and stuff is expensive. King shocks are not cheap. Fox, triple bypass rears are not cheap.
Yeah.
Deaver Springs, National Springs, not cheap. So anyways, so we did all that for just a minute or two. And then a guy said to me, he said, hey, we have an opportunity I want you and like 4 of your friends, I want you to come and get a brief. And I said, what's a brief on? He said, you just check it out. I said, okay, we'll go. So I went to this brief at a hotel room, and the guy said, hey, you can earn this much money by protecting case officers overseas for the agency. So I became a GRS guy for a certain amount of time, and that is a thankless job. I want to say godless because, God's everywhere and all, but God bless America. It's a thankless job. Every time I would suggest something new or more smarter, let's do this thing smarter. Nope, we don't do it. We can't do that. Nope. What happens if the ammunition blows up in the gun? It's not going to blow up in the gun. Hey, when I first got to my first station, I looked at my first 5.56 magazine, and there was 3 kinds of ammunition in there. 3 different kinds.
Like what? What do you mean 3? Like
3 different kinds.
Like steel core fringe?
Yeah. So there was 55 grain in there. There was There was 8.55 green tip, which is 62 grain, and then there was 77 grain open tip match. I said, why aren't we using one kind of ammunition? And then coming from where I came from, I'm like, here we should use this really good ammunition that's optimized for this kind of barrel. And, oh, by the way, it's got great terminal ballistics and et cetera. And they said, no. What if it blows up in the gun? It's not going to blow up in the gun.
Why would it blow up in the gun?
I don't know, man. There's rules and regulations, and it's a civilian-led force, so there you have it. That's all there is to it. They don't think there's a box. They're in it. They can't come out of the box.
We've seen the result of it. Well, I guess right around the time you were getting out of the military with the Benghazi situation, where I mean, I find it. There's very little chance. I know a lot of people that work for GRS. Very little chance that any of those guys were stepping on the toes on the intel side, right? But it's very common that intel people got involved in the security issue when they should not have been, because that's not what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, I don't know why people get in pissing matches about that. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't go, I don't know. If the dishwasher and the cook don't get into arguments about how to cook food, right? Either way, that applies either way. So in intel, the cook is the intel guy, and when it's a security issue, the cook is the security person, right? Why would there should be no debate, really? Like, if it's a matter of budget and shit like that, that is what it is.
Sure enough.
But that was not the case.
Nope. Let me do my job. Just
Yeah.
let me do my job. And let me tell you, there's some professionals in there. You know, there's a pipeline, and some guys shouldn't be there. I get it. But
A
there's
lot of people fail upward in government services of all sorts, right?
But, you know, let me make, if you brought me on board and I have X amount of experience for a certain place, let me make it better. Can we make this better? No.
It also makes it easier because people that are experts in, like, site security and non-permissive environments, you don't learn how to just completely lock shit down. You learn how to do all the shit you need to do in the safest possible way, right? So there's an efficiency element to it that could really benefit these dummies if they would just shut up and get the fuck out of the way. You know what I mean?
Well, isn't this typical of a larger problem with the United States government? Let the people do what they do. Just protect them.
Yeah.
Just protect them. Get out of my way. This is Hank Reardon, right, from Atlas Shrugged. Just get out of my way. Can we do anything for you? Yeah, sure. Get out of my way.
I wonder if have people been making the Reardon Elon Musk comparisons lately? Because I've got a lot of issues with Musk and his dealings with China and shit like that. But I feel like there's two types of people in the billionaire class. One of them is Bill Gates, right? He's trying to buy up resources that people need to live, like not invest in them, but buy them, which is weird. And then you have Musk, who's trying to create stuff and divorce people from government. Like I tend to lean towards one of those over the other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody is more distrustful is not the word, but skeptical of government than people who spend a lot of time working for them.
I'll go with distrustful. Sure. Why not?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in a lot of cases, I don't really care for politicians.
There's only 17 things, give or take, in the Constitution that says they cannot do.
Right.
They do millions of things they cannot do. They should not do.
Yeah.
Millions. So, yeah, I don't. You go to Gates. I don't trust the medical world. I don't trust what he's doing. I don't trust our own medical professionals to tell us the truth, because they're not.
Yeah.
I don't trust the government to tell us the truth, because they have so much power. They're doing whatever they want to do.
And it's a lot of times I don't think it's even about flexing power necessarily. They believe in the noble lie, which is these people are too dumb.
Correct.
So we have to.
Good
And
call.
look, man, that is how authoritarianism begins. Right? It's multiple pathways. Either the person is pathological and lunatic, that's a despot, and the other one is like an overprotective mother. It's like, I don't know if you ever watched the show Arrested Development back in the day.
Yeah.
But like, they're Lucille Bluth, right? The crazy overprotective mom, and the result is this Xennial generation of Buster Bluths that have no life skills. They can't do anything for themselves. And their chief complaint politically right now is that the government fix this problem they have, which is student loan debt, right? Like, that's the chief complaint for them is to, hey, government, you need to do this. Like, that's not how this country was set up, bud.
No.
For the government to be bailing people out and shit.
I mean, the government's not bailing people out anyway. It's other people. At the point of a gun, you're giving your money to somebody else who thinks that they deserve either a reparation or a free education or free health care. And that's not how this was. This is not how this was, ginned up. This is not how this was put together.
I actually don't have a huge issue with making, like subsidizing education, provided it's actually doing what it's supposed to do, right? Like if we're, for example, because of all the computer chip shortage bullshit, a big factory is being built. I think it's in Ohio right now. It's going to take like 3 to 5 years to build it. But in preparation for that 3 to 5 years, if there's a specific type of engineer or somebody or whatever it is, like maybe multiple things that need to exist and be well trained to do that job, and the government's like, hey, we're going to give you tax breaks for training people to do that, do it, because now you're contributing to the economy, you're doing the right thing. But if you're subsidizing like $30,000-$40,000 per year education so kids can go get brainwashed into a bunch of nonsense, fuck that. Like this is unacceptable.
Well, the problem is too, what's the guarantee?
Yeah, well, there is never a guarantee.
Nope.
Otherwise, it would be a security. But
everything's a risk, right?
Yeah.
So it's just difficult. I mean, I think that there could be some ways to help with those that can't. I go back and forth. If you can't pay, then you don't play.
Yeah.
So that's just no. And then, by the way, higher education. Let's put quotes around that, air quotes and all. Higher education is not that much higher education. Yeah, and it depends on where you go and where you're coming from. But, what happens, look at Mike Rowe. Let's put stuff together for people who can do things. Can you weld? Can you manufacture? Can you look after the motors, right? If it's ASE certified master technician, whatever, and these 5 things. It's just there's so much more out there too that you can be more productive and help out the society, at large.
We tried to, after the big manufacturing boom that brought women into the workplace during World War II when dudes were deployed, and manufacturing continued until we started doing these Southeast Asian deals, basically. Now we decided that we're going to transform into an information economy. Okay, that's okay, but it always turns out to be an information and service economy, right? And what happens is information changes quickly. It changes faster than people are able to keep up, like an educational pipeline. So you got to be really flexible. You have to think ahead, be smart, and that's just not how it's done here. We're a big ship. Yeah. And it takes a lot to turn that motherfucker around. And it's, it's why we shouldn't leave things to the government in the first place. Like, they're inefficient. They're slow at everything. They suck at everything. Yeah. I always tell people, like, hey, you want the government running your healthcare or being involved in your business or something? Go to the DMV. Go through that process and then tell me you want the government involved in anything.
Help yourself.
Like, that's...
Well, they don't create. That's the thing, too. People think they need to create jobs. They don't create anything. So they need to just get out of the way. They need to make sure that the people are protected and the economic engine of the free people continues to be, thriving.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we went from a quick bio into heavy politics already.
Well, it happens. So let's get back to the bio then. You were, after 9/11, you were you were over there pretty quick, I guess.
The towers came down on September 11th, of course, and October 17th. I'm pretty sure. It was the 19th or 17th. I'm pretty sure it's the 17th. October 17th was the first strike back. So horse soldiers, they're in there too, but they're not the first ones. Longest air assault raid in military history so far.
Longest, like time-wise?
Yeah, and miles to get from A to B.
I see.
That was my first exposure to, you as a soldier, okay, what do you sign up for? But not just as a soldier, okay, so somebody wants to join the Army as a 11 guy. So for those of you out there, 11 Bravo infantryman, or you go to, what's Marines, 0300?
0300 series, so 0311, 21, 31.
So, I get it. As a young man, do you expect to go to war, right? So my first joining the Army, I thought, I wanted to go to war. I wanted to be a tanker. I wanted to see armored warfare because I studied it in school. So I was one of those weirdos who really wanted to test my mettle. But it never did happen until October of 2001.
Right.
Yeah. So
And that wasn't, was that a part of Anaconda, or was that something different?
No, that was the beginning. I don't know. I wonder oftentimes, I have other friends, I wonder when the names become declassified.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was 2 operations, actually. One was the initial strike, and then one was a follow-on, where we dismantled the Taliban forces using like reconnaissance and air assets, and we were all involved in that. And, it was a long-range mobility deployment as well. That was, but I know the names, so I don't know if I can. I'll just not name the names, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we had, there was some kinetic operations, some DA stuff going on, and then we had basically some agency dudes and some tier 1 dudes sitting on top of mountains.
Yeah.
Slow flamming some targets and
Yep.
knocking them out. You can read, there's a good, Anacondas is in a book. I can't remember the name of the book. It may be
Is it the
Operation
Nailer?
Anaconda.
Is it the Naylor book?
Yeah.
Not a Good Day to Die.
Hold on.
Not a Good Day to Die was about Roberts Ridge, right? I don't know if I don't know, but Naylor's suspect too, right? So I don't know where he gets all his info. I'll tell you though. Let's go back to that real quick. The vision of a young man thinking, okay, we're good. Now I'm more mature now that I'm here. Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I've been a ranger, done a lot of live fire stuff. Okay, sure. But when you're flying
this
bus.
When did you were in battalion right out of basic?
Yeah, so my convoluted story was basic training in 1982, armor crewman, 19 Echo, so there's an M60A1 and A3 series tanks. Those were life cycle replaced by the M1 in 1985 and 1986.
Which is still our main battle tank, and it's still a really good one, too.
Yeah, it's badass.
How crazy is that? That tank is almost 40 years old now, and it's still the best tank in the world.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Anyways.
Well, look at the SR-71.
Yeah.
They don't even fly that. They don't even make it anymore. It was badass. So 86, I get out of the Army, disillusioned with command. It was the Army from the 80s. It was drug rampant. It was non-disciplined. It was bad.
Have you seen that movie, Buffalo Soldiers?
Nope.
It's
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. It's really, you should watch it. It may give you flashbacks, actually, of how corrupt and fucked up military commands were back then.
How about that?
I also just want to know if it's true that the only way to not get high on cooking heroin or something is to eat like 30 hamburgers or whatever they were doing at the end.
I don't know. That? I think maybe they were just high and had the munchies, to be honest. But maybe a mask also. Anyways, so you get out in 86, you said?
Yeah, I got out in 86, and like I said, disillusioned. I didn't know really anything about Army infantry. I didn't know anything about Special Forces, Rangers. I didn't really. I read some books, but I was like, I wanted to be an armor guy. I wanted to be a crew. I stood at the gate at Fulda Gap. Fulda Gap is where everybody says this is where the Russian horde is going to come through.
Yeah.
That was our alert cycle. You'd go to the Fulda Gap and sit there. Went to East Berlin. That was cool. East Germany.
What city is that? Is it the same place where what city is it in Germany? That base, the armor base that we have in Germany.
There's
2, right? Because one of them is Cav Scouts and shit like that, and then the other one is straight up armor, right?
As far as I know, there used to be a whole bunch of. Well, there was different ones, and I don't. I'm sure Mannheim and doesn't exist anymore. Coleman Barracks and Sullivan Barracks is where I grew up in Germany.
I think Coleman is what I'm thinking about.
That was by a big prison. That was 8th Infantry Division Mechanized, which doesn't exist anymore. But there was Baumholder and Grafenwehr, and all those places are still training areas that still exist. I don't think they've gone away. Hohenfelds. But
Hohenfelds, that's the one. Yeah. Well, no, Hohenfelds is the one with all the Cav Scouts.
Quite possibly. I don't know.
Anyways, I don't know. The Army changes shit up. Anyways, so you get out in 86, tired of all that bullshit.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm just going to go be, a bartender or a UPS supervisor.
And you saw Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I did. And the Predator and whatever else. But, so I somewhere in there I had a switch, and I said, I just need to get back into the Army. I missed it. And then the Gulf War started, and then I missed everything. And I'm watching I was living in Cleveland at the time, working for a computer company. I was a shipping supervisor. Yeah, very exciting. And a guy named Eddie Savage is on television being interviewed by a guy on CNN saying, how was that tank gunfight? I'm like, you son of a gun. Man, you got it. I missed it. So I launched back and I tried to get into the Bear program, which was keep your rank and go back into the Special Forces. It didn't work out for me.
This was like pre-18 X-ray, right? But
Yeah.
that was the predecessor to 18 X-ray.
I think it was, yeah. And it was a good friend of mine, Fred, said he knew the acronym. I don't even know what it is anymore. Man, and then I started preparing. So I got scuba gear. I did my open water cert in Lake Erie. I jumped out of airplanes on my own. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be all right, man. And then I went back and they said, well, this program doesn't exist for you anymore. You can't go. So I went to a recruiter. He said, yeah, sure, I'll get you to Ranger Battalion as a chaplain's assistant or a cook. I said, I don't want either one of those. Long story short, man, convolution came all together, and I got it back in as an 11 series. I was in the 30th AG there where
that's where I was.
Yeah, where all the kids go.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, you're 11 Mike. And I said, I've been mechanized, man. I don't want that anymore. So I ended up getting a new contract, and I ended up getting a Ranger contract. And so I wasn't an import into Ranger Battalion. I became like reborn again through the basic training process.
Right,
yeah.
So did you have to go back through the entire OSID situation?
I had to go back through a lot of it.
Oh my God, it is what it is.
I was at E6 and then I got busted on at E4.
How long was your break in service?
5.5, 5 years.
So if it's like within 2 years, nothing changes. But
Correct.
if it's over 2 years, you have to do everything again.
Yeah, I stayed affiliated with National Guard units. It was an armor unit in Pennsylvania I stayed associated with. And then I was associated with an SF unit in West Virginia, 19th Group. And so I stayed affiliated, so I got the time in service. But I didn't.
Not the rank, yeah, it's weird.
Not the rank. So for pay, I did. So, and it was funny, man. There was some funny times as I figured. I knew, man, I was going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to go through this whole thing. I'm done with it. I'm good. I'll do it. And then they found some paperwork said you didn't have to do all of it. I had to do basic rifle marksmanship. Then I got transferred to another element that was going through advanced individual training. So, and then I went to airborne school and RIP and boom, 175. I got to 175 in 92 and a half, 93, somewhere in there.
Have they changed? Was airborne school all in tennis shoes by then, or were you still
boots.
you were still running in jump boots?
I was running boots.
Fuck that shit, dude. I like it. It's not that bad. Like the running pace is really slow. I think it's kind of hard on your knees though.
Oh sure.
And when in boots, it's got to be worse. Like there's
sure
no support in those things. Fuck that shit. That's
man. Back when you were hard.
Yeah, when I went, we wore fucking tennis shoes, which I was glad for.
Well, what was the other double standard was, you can't, if they told you, if you refused to jump out of the fake airplane, the bodies, then you would never go further. So there's a female captain from 18th Airborne Corps, and she refuses to jump out of the platform. So right away, she's getting busted. Well, yeah, saw her a week later. She's back at it.
Yeah, there's we had
Stop it.
We had some. So usually when if you get recycled out of airborne school, you go to this holding unit for a minute, and then you can come back later, provided that you didn't quit. Like if you get dropped for some reason or medical or something, you can go rehab, come back.
Okay.
But a lot of these officers would be out towards the end of ground week and then show back up the next week in Tower Week. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, don't make a rule. Don't make a rule if you're gonna just blow it off.
Yeah,
whatever.
Anyway, that's how it goes. So
It is how it goes. Sadly.
So you went. Where did you go? 175.
Yep, I was BCO, 2nd Platoon, 175, and then I did a small stint at headquarters platoon as like a weapons platoon sergeant, basically is what I was, and then I went off to the mothership. I made the jump to light speed and got out of there. Man, I failed selection once, came back, made it the second time, and they granted me the ability to come back. So I did it twice.
Yeah. Well, no. So, do you mind saying why? Did they tell you why?
Oh no, I don't mind at all.
Yeah. Did they tell you why they cut you the first time? Because people don't understand how Tier 1 selections, the cadre is. That's the people you're going to be working with, right? In a lot of cases. I mean,
you don't know that as a student.
Yeah, you don't know that, but there's supplemental people around. I guess everybody kind of knows it now because it's been discussed so much.
I don't know.
But back then, nobody fucking knew that, right?
Oh, yeah, I didn't
So
know.
you're getting selected by the dude you're actually going to work with. Sometimes it's just like, oh, we got a guy like that already. You know what I mean? So if they what my understanding is, if they tell you to come back, it means you're good enough to do this, but we don't need you on our team specifically.
No, I would say no.
Okay.
So I would say no.
So tell me your story then.
And when you say the guys, you mean the guys that are immediately doing the thing are going to be the guys working with you? That's not possible either.
Okay.
So there's just too many.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole process. Certainly anybody who's conducting the thing could be interested in the guy. Oh, I'm interested in Dan. Yeah. But that doesn't mean he's going to be there. There are.
So when you were running and gunning, you guys kind of keep an eye on the pipeline as well, like almost like scouting draft picks and shit.
Oh yeah,
that's really interesting.
Oh yeah. There's
interesting.
And there's no good old boy network. That's never going to happen, right? Because the process doesn't work that way. But and it's a fantastic process to me, if you ask me. But if there's certainly, it'd be like if I was already there and I said, you got to check out Dan. Check him out, man. Let's see if I can't convince him to try. And then, but everything's the same. You know what I mean? So you don't have all those variables. Nothing's about brotherhood and emotions and stuff like that. It's, can you do these things? If you can, you can. If you can't, you cannot. And that's the thing. So when you go back to your initial question, it's about, I don't know what it is about time. Somewhere there's time involved in it. If you can't make these certain things to do these things in a certain time frame, then you just will not be. But if you're not a clown, if you're not a slacker, if you don't do things in a stupid manner, then it's possible to be, and your packet looks good enough, and you may be invited back. So that's the key. There's an exit interview, and hey, look, you're not the kind of guy we're looking for, or you're the kind of guy you're looking for. Just get your shit straight the next time.
Yeah, one of my buddies that's pretty much how it was. Like, hey, you were good, but this one particular thing you got to improve on. Come back in a year or 2 years or whatever the fuck, and they did, and he's there now.
I went back to the next one, and
you went right back to back.
Right back.
Yeah, that's rough on your body.
I overtrained without a doubt. There's no G2 here, man. There's no intel for this. There isn't any.
Yeah.
And if people give intel to this, they're jackasses. It is certainly the most physically the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Period. But I overtrained. And, somebody would say, all you need to do, because you're already a Ranger, you're already fit, just do these couple things and you'll be all right. Man, I overtrained. I ran myself into trouble. If you pay attention and if you're capable and you pay attention, you can do it. But it's without a doubt the hardest thing I've ever done.
So what year was it when you started working for JSOC?
99.
So right before some shit went down.
99.
It was kind of when I don't know. You were in Rangerbat before. Did they do a lot in Kosovo and Serbia and shit? Like, what did you deploy there?
No, PIFWIC. So I missed one. I would have been on one, and I missed it. Those are PIFWIC missions. People indicted for war crimes. PIFWIC. And yeah, we had our hands in some of that. And so in 2000, we're getting ready to do this. We're going to do this mission. And we bring a car down, and we have a new device. And it's a hollow-charged weapon. It's fired from your rifle. It doesn't recycle your rifle, so you fire the thing and recycle your rifle, go back to work. It's a hollow-charged weapon designed to be a standoff door-breaching tool. The Israelis design it. It's called a Simon device. And you'd shoot this thing from 30 feet, bam, blow the door down, bam, you have a breach. Standoff breaching weapon.
From 30 feet?
Yeah, stuff like that. It was even more. It was even more. It was a nice tool.
That's nice to not get like my buddy Derek White got shot through the knee going through the front door of a place. That's pretty common to get contact.
The portal's the most dangerous place. Yep. Portal's the most dangerous place. So it was a cool device. It's old, so there's no secret here. So it had a plunger on it, right? A long plunger that would help the device stay stable, and then it would arm it or something like that. So we decided we're going to say, what happens if we use this on a car? Because we're going to stop the car. What happens if we lay down the spike strip and the car doesn't stop? So let's see what it does. Let's see what it does to the motor and the front wheels. Well, we took it downrange and we blasted it onto this car, and it worked quite well. It blew the wheels in half. It disabled the motor. It was good. So we went back, and my particular team's mission changed and said, if this car gets through, then everybody gets the good news. Everybody gets it. I'm like, well, that's easy. So now let's go back downrange and see what happened to the targets on the inside of the car if we shoot the A pillar or the B pillar.
Right. So you just put dummies with shot
targets,
yeah.
just targets.
Yeah.
You just want to see what happens. So we do that. And again, this is a brand new device. I've shot this thing once, maybe twice. And we line up on the car and we shoot it, and the door comes back and smashes me in the face.
It's like that. Have you guys seen that video where the dude shoots Tannerite in a refrigerator and the fucking door comes back at him? Yeah.
Yeah, misses him by like inches.
Yeah, inches. And like by a tree or something like that, where he's by a tree.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. That's why I missed the mission, because I broke my neck, I broke my jaw, and I lost 6 teeth. I got criked. I had a massive hematoma on the left side of my face. So they were like, yeah, you're not going anywhere.
You're in the concussion protocol, I think, at that point.
But it worked out. So
99, you're over there, and can you describe the process? When the towers went down, things spooled up pretty quickly.
We were
like
training
within a
with,
matter of days.
We were training with a matter of hours. We were training with a hand-to-hand combat expert. You may know this name, Tony Blauer. And we were upstairs, and I had just actually after the neck thing, and then we trained for a while. I had to have a back surgery. So then I had a laminectomy, discectomy, my first back surgery, and then. So I was kind of just taking it easy. I was on the edge of recovering, full recovery, do what you want. So we're up there training upstairs, and a guy comes up the ladder and says, hey, a plane ran into the towers. I'm like, that's crazy, right? That's a bummer. All right, keep training.
I mean, like, shit like that happens.
Sure.
Sometimes.
Or think a small airplane.
Yeah.
Nobody said a word.
Yeah.
The reporter that said, this is an airplane. We all just thought, oh, yeah, probably a sightseeing, small airplane, helicopter, maybe a New York police, whatever. What a bummer. That's crazy. Moments later, of course, he comes back upstairs and says, a second plane has hit the second tower.
Yeah.
We're at war. And so, all right, Tony, get out. Training's over. Everybody, and we're on fire.
I mean, at the time, there weren't a whole lot of specifically counterterrorism designed units. Like now, there's a lot of not a lot, but now there's like a greater attention paid to that sort of thing. I think
you're right. Yeah, sure.
But back then, it was like you guys.
There's a couple
and a couple of others.
Some Navy SEALs, and some of us, and
some agency dudes.
Agency dudes, yeah.
But that was pretty much it then. Now we have like the Marine Corps Muse are trained in some of this stuff now, right? Just to be an aggressive force so we can infill operators, and there's all kinds of shit that goes on now. But back then, it was interestingly enough, and this is why I don't think we discuss your guys' early operations enough. They're so incredible in how effective they were, despite the fact that it seems like everybody kind of knew that that's what was going to happen, right? Anybody that had good intel on us knew what assets we had to do that. And all of I've made this, the first few years of Afghanistan and Iraq, from the big Army infantry side, were kind of fucked because you didn't have a whole lot of, one, you didn't have any staff NCOs, and two, you didn't have any field grade officers that had been in real combat before, like at any point. Yeah, there were a couple from
this is what
Grenada.
happens, right? As we cycle through, real combat is what happens.
Yeah. We had some from Grenada, some from Panama, but limited, right? And most of those were either paratroopers, Rangers, or, Tier 1 people. And then Gulf War, but limited, limited infantry-style combat in that situation. And it didn't look like, if I was planning against the U.S. in that scenario, I feel like it would not be easy to achieve goals, but definitely what pieces are on the board. And that's not always to your advantage when the enemy knows everything you've got going on. So I think the success of Anaconda and some of those other missions was, it doesn't, I mean, some of it's still we don't talk about it openly as much. So maybe that'll come later on.
I hope some of
right?
it will come out. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, but it's like that 6 month period from October until whatever the fuck, I guess March of 2002 was pretty impressive. Like a lot of really impressive shit happened then. We were managing resources really well, making friends. I mean, we had the Northern Alliance, you know, using those guys. I guess as a student of military history, I'm or maybe it's just because I'm getting old and I want to watch World War II history all the time. I'm just waiting for the like real documentaries about some of this shit.
I'd like to
come
see
out.
some too. I really would.
Like something that really captures the entire thing, because there was a lot of cool shit going on then. A lot of cool shit. And now, you know, we've found out again today some declassified documents this week have confirmed the fact that the Saudi government was involved in that.
Yeah, I heard that too last week or so. There
Yeah.
was some talk about it last week or the week before. Some government official or whether it was photographed with
Yeah.
one of the other cats.
Just a guy that was here in America financing these cells, basically. And he was a direct employee of the government. That seems like something that we should care about.
You want to see my shock face though?
Yeah, right. Oh boy.
It's a whole nother, wormhole to go into is who the real players are in, the Wahhabi type of mindset, the Mujahideen type of mindset. But it's, not just the extremists, but if you look in the book, this is controversial, right? People MF you all the time about whatever, and I don't care. But if you look to the book, it's formed of subjugation. The particular religion itself, it comes to other countries through subjugation, not through love, my friend, not through love. No. Through subjugation. And that's so. Whenever there's some authoritarian element, that's always going to happen. Yep. And that's how, a lot of these primarily Muslim countries still the arbiter of truth and reality and the conduit to God, whomever you call God, is the state, right? That's how Rome was. That's how England, Spain, a lot of countries over the years have been like that, and it's always pretty much ended up the same. I mean, that's why medieval Europe kept all their people illiterate, so they would have to go to the state or the church to get all their information. And the difference is they're still doing it, like in a pretty big way. Oh, slavery's rampant. Yeah. But it's what I want you to know. I'll let you know it. But I mean, you can feel what's happening in America right now with the censorship and the managed consent and all that stuff, the programming that's going on. That is, it's an effort towards the same end. Whether you think it's noble or not, the result of that type of behavior is the same, and it is the mental subjugation of the people you're supposed to be taking care of, which I find to be inappropriate, I guess. Inappropriate. It's a good word. It's a soft word for that. I did a contract in Saudi Arabia, and I worked with the Saudi Arabian Royal Guard. Mm-hmm. We delivered animals. We trained animals from Germany. We took animals with us, and me and another guy. I was a subcontractor for a larger company, and it was free, but we had to be with a guy all the time. Yeah. It was, we couldn't drive anywhere. He had to make us, he couldn't go. We had to go that way. It was Diet Coke and coffee. It was all the entire contract. It was, I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. No, not there. No. Shit. No. It's not like Jordan or shit, even the UAE. Like, if you're a white person, they don't really care if you're boozing it up and shit. Matter of fact, there's some pretty good bars and restaurants over there. But Saudi Arabia doesn't do that. They don't play. Which is interesting because the royal family isn't particularly orthodox. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know much about them, so I can't speak to it. But well, from the guys I know that have worked with them on the Secret Service side,
whenever they travel in massive entourages, they usually will buy out like an entire floor of a hotel so nobody can see what the fuck's going on there.
Yep.
And it is just a free for all.
Well, isn't this the same reasoning behind? So the dictator, right? The dictates are for you, not for him.
Yeah, rules
and the
for
socialism is for the people rather, not for the socialist.
Yeah.
So he makes the rules, and it's the same. Just like you said, earlier in the conversation. Once you put the thumb on them, do what I say.
Yeah, it's too bad that we're not still in. And I almost say this jokingly, but it's wars of conquest are pretty much over, I guess, except for whenever Putin gets bored. But King Abdullah in Jordan is a pretty legit dude, and his son's also a pretty legit dude.
He's got the Western wife, right?
Yeah,
She American wife.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember her name.
Don't matter.
Raina, that's her, Rainia, something like that. Anyways, they not only do they run a good country, right? Their intelligence service is so fucking good.
Roger,
it's in my opinion the best in the Middle East. Probably it's them and Israel are probably fucking neck and neck there, which is interesting. It's too bad that Jordan didn't take over all that stuff instead of the Kingdom of Saud and all this other stuff, because they would have done a much better job. Maybe, right? It's always maybe in intel. You never know. So, how much can you discuss about your level of involvement post towers falling down? Because those are really interesting stories people like, but I don't want to jam you up.
Yeah, no, you're good. So, team member operator, really, that's it, right? So, again, I'll tell you a small story that is of no consequence. Longest air assault rating in the history of military warfare. When you're sitting in the back of the airplane, and I think I got rid of 3 piss bags on the flight. Refuel, heading in towards target. You're nap of the earth flying, right? You're over top of the terrain, and I'm looking outside of the helicopter. And it's now we have white phosphorus. It's a much better night vision, but there it was green. My world was green. I'm looking out there, and I see a gun truck, and the gun truck is shooting at us. And you're like, something just got real. Listen, this is real shit here.
Yeah.
That gun truck is up there, and he's shooting tracers. You can see it.
What was it, a Dishka or some shit?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Probably. I would imagine so. When we got back, our helicopter had holes in it. So that was a pretty cool thing. And you're just like, wow, how about that?
So that's when it got real for you.
It all worked out. I mean, it was certainly something to think about, right? I had a job to do. I was the assistant breacher. And I had a job to do. Once we got out of the helicopter, we moved to the wall. We were going to blow it out of the wall. And I was told that there were numerous shots impacting the wall. But I'll be honest with you, I never saw those. I was focused on one thing, helping my man put this giant charge up on the wall so we could get through the wall.
Yeah.
That was all I wanted to do. So I was primarily focused on that. My spatial awareness was probably not as high as it should have been, but I was like, we gotta get this right, man. We gotta get this right, because if we can't get in, then you can't get the job done. So that's all I want to do right now. So it was but it was honestly, the target itself was actually quite lame. It was more like a training target. Nobody was there. They all left. All left. Whether they had underground stuff, tunnels, whatever, they all departed. It was a great hit, though. Then in the end, when you're preparing for exfil, you hear whoosh, whoosh, and the guy said, "What is that?" And I said, "Those are rockets."
Yeah.
Those are the ones you don't want to be on the other end of.
No, you don't want to hear that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But my involvement, I mean, just evolution of me just throughout the whole entire thing, 12 combat missions, but 10, I say missions, 10 tours. 10 tours with carrying a rifle.
Right.
The other 2 were a liaison type. I finished my last liaison type tour in 2012 when Bin Laden was killed. Yeah, but mostly a NUG. In
the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because there were quite a few tier 1 dudes who saw their first combat like, and when it fucking mattered.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's super interesting. That's like a dude getting drafted in his first NBA game. He's a fucking playoff game. You know what I mean? I guess to some degree it's always like that because combat, you either win or die. But it's another reason I think we should re-examine the first couple of years and try to mimic everything we got right there.
Well, just like
Are
you
we-
mentioned before, though, you aren't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, are we seeing that now in the Russian invasion of Ukraine?
I mean, their tactics are fucking dumb. They still fight like it's World War II, and you can't do that anymore. With tech, like you make a move, you push into the country, right, and you keep their two major cities busy. You try to knock out their communications and blah, blah, blah. But when Elon Musk can just launch a satellite and they now have communication again, what the fuck? That's maybe they didn't see that coming, but that's a failure of intelligence. And the fact that I can't remember who it is. There's some general that says tactics and strategy win battles, but logistics wins wars, right?
Yeah.
And the Russians suck at moving shit around. That would be the one thing you think they would be good at.
Well, the Army's not very professional.
No.
Right? We know that for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to a total war strategy, so Mr. Putin wants part of the land back.
Yep.
Or he wants to bring the band back and make Ukraine part of Warsaw Pact. I don't know.
But he's also fighting that battle on a 50-year timeline if he has to, right? Like he doesn't. Americans think in terms of 4-year presidencies, and nobody else in the world thinks like that. So we were like, oh, they're losing. Like, are they?
Next political cycle.
Yeah. It's like in 2014 they took Crimea. Now they're going to take some territory to the west of that and secure a water lane right there, and they're going to take maintain the Donbass and Donetsk and Luhansk. They're going to take all that natural gas. That will be the result of this war. If anybody's out there is still curious about that, and then 6 or 10 years from now they'll do something else. They'll come down from Belarus and take those. Take the nuclear, or what is it? What is that fucking reactor they have? It's a decommissioned reactor.
Chernobyl? No.
No.
Yeah,
No, there's a decommissioned reactor somewhere in northern Ukraine, but it's sitting on top of one of the largest undug natural gas reserves in the world that we know about, right? That'll be the next one. It'll be like 10 years from now. This stuff is, we can see it coming, which I understand. I'd like to get your thoughts on this as a guy that did CT.
I think it's in Kharkiv.
Yeah, it's somewhere up there. Yeah.
That's the other decommissioned one that's in the north is in Kharkiv.
Yeah, there's like a huge, like one of the largest natural gas resources that hasn't been tapped yet is there, or somewhere thereabouts. They need to control that territory. But in 91, Soviet Union falls, and we say we're not going to expand NATO, right? That was what the U.S. said to help Gorbachev, blah, blah, blah. So obviously we pretty much immediately started expanding NATO because
politicians lie.
Because fuck you. I mean, but that's the other part of it. Our system of government is that it's a new dude in charge. So he doesn't necessarily have to keep old agreements, and we didn't. Now, I don't think that's a reason to invade Ukraine, and I don't think Russia's doing it because they think that the West is going to come into Russia at some point. They're doing it because they want that oil and gas. That's why they're doing it.
Okay, if they want this oil and gas, though, they've made more revenue in the last 2 months than they did 5 months prior to the invasion.
Yeah.
So what's happening there?
Well, I mean, so Germany quickly found out that it can't stop buying their shit.
Yeah, well, unless they buy American shit.
Yeah, we're not producing it.
That's right.
Yeah. Or they can go to OPEC, and Germany's not too keen on that either.
Nope.
So Russia's got a lot of people by the balls, and that's another situation we created. But I wonder, I mean, shit is what it is now, and the most likely end to this is that Russia will control the East. The international community will be butthurt for a while, but they need their oil and they need their wheat and their natural gas, so they can't really do anything. What do we do between the end of this one and the start of the next one, whatever the next move is, whether it's the north from Belarus to Kharkiv or whatever? What do we do to, I mean, I know the agency wants to do proxy shit to destabilize Russia, but Russia comes out swinging when it gets destabilized. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's their response to it. So is that a smart thing to do?
Russia themselves, I think the Russian people are paranoid. I want to go back to what you said about empire. So the days of empire are pretty much over. World War II finished the age of empire. Japanese could no longer seek empire. The Germans could certainly no longer seek empire. The Russians no longer, you ended up with NATO and Warsaw Pact. But the West wasn't part of empire anymore. England lost all her empire, almost all of it, when World War II finished. Now, the Russian people, though, I think they're paranoid. The Russian oligarchs are paranoid, but the leadership is paranoid. People are paranoid. People have been trying to dismantle Russia for a long time. If you look through all the way back through history, and they're probably paranoid about this too. And look, I'm not a Russian apologist by any means. What was Kamala Harris? Would she say? Big country invaded little country. Big country bad. Little country good.
Right.
So let's put the basics out. No, it's not good to invade your neighbors. I got it. But at the same time, he's not even doing it in a total war way. You mentioned Elon Musk. Yeah, he set up the internet service with his satellites. It wouldn't matter if Putin really wanted a total war.
Right. Yeah.
He hasn't done it.
No.
He hasn't gone. He's almost done this with kid gloves,
Yeah.
and he's getting smacked in the face.
That's why I don't think, I don't buy all this hype about chemical, nuclear, biological war from them. Like, why? For what purpose? Like, why would Russia do that and invite the ire of the entire international community? Like, they're not. I wouldn't even say they're on thin ice right now. They're just kind of being dicks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to marginalize what they're doing. What they're doing is fucked up, and they're killing a lot of people. But as far as international consequences go, this is middle level. This isn't high level yet. Like, despite all the rhetoric you've heard, there's no will anywhere to, like, just all of a sudden start invading Russia or anything like that.
No.
Right? Like, there's no will to do that.
That's World War III.
Yeah, and Putin knows that as well as anybody. And the way he's conducted this war so far, which is taking, and I know they don't really value human life the same way you do, but taking losses and some humiliating losses just to not go full total war means that there's no fucking way they're using nuclear weapons. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, that'd be the end of it for Russia. They would get annihilated off the face of the earth if that happened. All the oligarchs, I mean, it would be over for all these people. They don't want... And I don't understand... Like, I know why the media and political class are doing what they're doing, because they got to get their buddies at Halliburton paid. I get it, man. But I don't understand how we've come so fucking far away from reality that people can't just look at a set of facts on a timeline and say, you know what, that's probably what's happening. Like, I feel like you should be able to give a timeline with basic information, like this happened, here are some of the players involved, here are who they get paid by or who they have stock in, and blah, 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 who their friends are. So you can, it's like Inspector, what's his name? Not Clouseau. Who's the French dude?
Inspector Clouseau?
Yeah, it's Clouseau.
No, not that one. The one that's, fuck.
Inspector Gadget?
Dude, that was in my head.
I don't know.
That was in my head.
I think it's Gagier, though, because he's French. No, it's Pyro or Pira something. I don't remember.
From Murder on the
Murder on
Orient
the
Express.
Orient, yeah. What is his name? But anyways, like, he puts together a certain a series of facts, like he's recounting his investigation, basically, and you arrive.
Clouseau.
Yeah, is it Clouseau?
Oh, wait, no. Hold on.
No. God damn it! It starts with a P, I think.
Pinchot?
Maybe.
Perot.
That's it. Yeah, but not Ross Perot.
Right.
Anyways, he lays out the facts of the case, and the assumption by the writer, the screenwriter, whomever it is that unless you have been hit in the head with a hammer recently, you can pretty much track those facts and you know where it's going to end, right? Like this, and this, and we thought it was this person, but here's this other information, and by the way, it was this person that you were suspicious of the whole time. I feel like we haven't... It is no longer required for people in government to lay out a series of facts and evidence, whatever information, that justify the action they're about to take. They just say, we support this, and because you're a Republican, you should also support it. Or because
Correct.
and that's fucked. Like, imagine, you talk about how good selection process is. Imagine if that's how it worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, combat is the ultimate meritocracy, because you're either better or you're not, right? And the result is pretty evident when you're not. But a government, you have so much influence over so many people.
I think now I say now, how long has it been happening? It's been evolving, I guess. But the government now, in my opinion, is completely capable of just letting people be comfortable. I'm just going to let you be comfortable. And they don't care. People don't care. How many people, this conversation itself, how many people, I mean, you guys are different, obviously. You do this thing, and you interject your smart ideas, and you talk politics all the time. But how many people do this? No, very, very few. You're a small group of people, man.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of people out there that they plod along, and they go to Walgreens, and they get their stuff, and they go to Walmart, and they get their food, and they go back home, and they watch Netflix, and they play Pokemon or whatever they do. There's a whole lot of people like that, man.
Yeah. Well, how do you, well, first, we're getting close to an hour here. So tell me about your business stuff. And then let's talk about how that, the attitude you just described and your experience have kind of influenced that.
Cool. So, and the end of the bio, I guess, was too, right? You finish up this stuff, you go be a GRS agent, and, you're not happy. And then I decided, I just mentioned this the other day. One of my favorite blues artists is Joe Bonamassa. A lot of people have never even heard of this guy. He's like got 30 record albums. He comes from Utica, New York. He's fantastic on the guitar. He wrote a song about a guy from Appalachia's called Black Lung Heartache, where he carries a hammer like keys to a jail. That's a quote. And I kind of carried my rifle and pistol like keys to a jail. I thought I would never do it anymore. And then I got to thinking, why not go back to your strengths? Off-road racing doesn't work. GRS sucks. Let's teach people under the umbrella of decent leadership, right? And I think it's good leadership, but under this umbrella of good leadership, how to conduct yourself, how to be the gunfighter mindset, how to conduct yourself with a pistol or rifle. And then can I go to military and law enforcement officers and teach them how to do close quarter battle? Because I've done over 1,000 hits against an armed enemy. Can I not help you with this? And then canine integration. I was a canine guy for a while, and canine integration saved lives. We got 26 dogs on the wall, 26 names, and that's 26 operators at very least who came back home. So, yeah, so that's what I do. Now, so it's DutchChrisMoyer.com. It's Dutch Chris Moyer Actual on Instagram. There is a Facebook thing. I don't do it. A friend of mine / worker does it for me. And then YouTube, we're on YouTube too, Dutch Chris Moyer. But I just, exposure's cool, and that's not necessarily why I wanted to come here, but yeah, but exposure's cool. But you can't lose with it, right? All I want to do now is I travel across the United States. I just came back from the TTPOA. That's why I'm here anyway. The Texas Tactical Patrol Officers Association. I was teaching there. I saw some smoke today too, by the way. 103 degrees yesterday on the range, not counting the sun. And so Saturday and Sunday were both 2 full days of pistol, what we call evolutionary gunfighter pistol, and just teaching officers some more techniques, thinking in a tactical mindset under that banner of leadership, to be better and to be, hope save lives.
Yeah.
That's the spiel.
I think it's good for the officers. I mean, the repetitions are that's what really matters.
Key.
But the attitude fucking matters too. You know what I mean? It's everybody's kind of saying this in the gun world now, but dry firing is where the real work gets done a lot of times. This, working on your mechanics and shit. I wonder, what I haven't seen yet, and I see parts of it, like Tim Kennedy does his one here for civilian folk, and it's like a day of combatives, day of pistol, day of rifle, day of survival. I think is that's one of them he does. Mike Glover does a lot of that too.
Yep.
What I haven't seen is some compilation or whatever of like functional fitness and the man stuff that you might hear from Daily over at Daily Stoic, or like Ryan Mickler at Order of Man and shit like that, combined with what Glover is doing with the outdoor survival stuff and the gun skills. Like that's the kind of thing. And the other part of it that I haven't seen is there doesn't appear to be any kind of train the trainer model in any of these things. So there's no, I guess it's the point of being trained to that level is to make you a force multiplier, right?
Yep.
That's the whole point.
The trainer thing, I mean, I think anybody could do that. I say anybody. Those instructors you just listed and some others. Hey, so you just take, how did I talk about it the other day? So Pulse nightclub shooting. There was 3 different constabularies that showed up at Pulse nightclub. All 3 had a different idea how to do it. Not just in a different idea, but they didn't do CQB the same way.
Right.
So can we come together as can NTOA fix that? Can you, have one body of knowledge that can come and say, this is the things that we need to do.
Right.
I just talked to an officer from Beaumont, and he was like, dude, we get an instructor in this month, and he teaches us to do it this way, and then we have to switch it up for the next guy. That's unsat. Yeah. So, or can we just use a pipeline of knowledge when you do train the trainer? If you train 100 officers in these 10 counties, and then can we spread that knowledge out, But it's maybe it's not always that easy. A lot of constabularies are afraid that military guys are going to teach their officers to be military guys, and they don't want that. They don't want them to wear Crye Precision pants. They don't want them to wear, the multicam. The multicam is the key. Oh, I don't want to wear multicam. You look like an Army guy. Man, it's kind of to save lives on the Walmart battlefield or in Syria. It's just a lot of the same techniques, man. Yeah. A lot of the same techniques. And there's a couple guys out there that are doing a thing together. I actually asked some of my other professionals to all come together and make this thing and do like you mentioned, one instructor does pistol, one instructor does rifle, one instructor does TCCC, one instructor does hand-to-hand combat. And can we get all those guys together and do that? And it is possible. There's guys out there that are doing some of those things. Not that Mickey Shook needs any more pump that he's getting already from his own things, but he does a thing called the S12. His thing on IG and the social media is Carry Trainer. And he's a civilian, but he brings together professionals from all over. He's got a SF guy in his stable, Instructor Z. He's a great guy. They do a good thing. They do a thing called the S12. And I think they bring 12 different instructors in. They even talk about survival stuff, and they bring them together in one location, and you pay big money or whatever, and you hang out with them. And it's also man stuff. They do man feeding. They do, philosophy talking to them. I mean, I don't know all the details, but there is something out there. But I think what you're onto is I'd love to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it all comes from the whole thing comes from leadership, man. That's what's wrong with our country right now. We don't have leaders.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, it's we have people telling us what to do, and that's part of it, I guess, right? Is the instructional portion, but maybe the more important one is setting and holding a standard, right? We're kind of doing away with all that because
I also agree.
It makes people uncomfortable to have their effort or ideology challenged.
Yeah.
But you personally should be constantly challenging your own ideology. And
Yes.
effort, like always.
Are we just going to go in lockstep no matter what? I'm a lockstep Republican. Never challenging. No, it's challenging everything all the time.
Especially for yourself. Like, that's where it starts. But people don't do that for themselves unless they see other people doing it for themselves.
Or do you see, here's a question for you. Do you see a trend, or have we seen a trend, and maybe in Austin you see it more because it's Austin.
Yeah.
But there's less of a need for men to be fulfilled. That's not right. To see and try to emulate a heroic lifestyle.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's more about you're a man, so you don't have you're not allowed an opinion on this kind of situation.
Even worse.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's kind of what it is, though. It's trying to remove the agency away from the person, which is what authoritarian states do. You know what I mean? And it's not just, it's like we've seen it from every possible political angle, right, left, like anywhere, and it's had to do with rights and money and all sorts of other stuff, trying to take the agency away from the individual.
So the end of rugged individualism, right? So when I see the state say it's okay to be comfortable, just be comfortable.
Yeah.
Instead of the young man grows up and goes, I want to make a difference. I want to be a hero.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Vic Morrow on Combat and James T. Kirk. Dude, James T. Kirk, he always said, hey, take me, don't take my crew. I'll do the right thing. He had some other issues, but which I enjoyed. But or it's the Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, even whatever. You need heroes, man. You need people that want to step up. Give me the ball. What was I talking? Two other police officers the other day talking about, I can't make decisions. They're like, we can't say this because we're in danger of losing our careers or getting our careers derailed. And I said, you guys, here's the thing too. You guys are leaders. You have to be leaders. You have to, if you see something going sideways, you have to stand up and go, look, hey, this is going sideways.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why.
I hope so, because there's nobody else that can do that.
Man.
That's the only... that's the only way to deal with that situation.
Well, I'm concerned that the United States military isn't doing it either. So,
no, certainly not.
When I got out in 13, you go to ACAP brief. I'm sitting in the back of the ACAP brief because I don't want to talk to anybody up front. And it's just the formalities you have to go through. And the proctor asked a question and nobody answered it. And I raised my hand. I said, "This is the answer." And she said, "That's right." Blah, blah, blah. She went on to speak some more. And then 3 rows up in front of me, a woman turns around. She turns around. And she says, "Hey, you must be an officer." I said, "I am. I'm a non-commissioned officer." I said, "So are you."
Yeah.
So but they've forgotten it.
Yeah.
You're a non-commissioned officer, man. You got some juice.
Yeah.
There's a great scene in Glory where Morgan Freeman becomes the sergeant major, and they give him it says that the Union Army cannot give at this time commissioned officers or black men. They can't make black men commissioned officers, but nobody's saying anything about non-commissioned officers.
Right.
But non-commissioned officers has some juice, but people don't want to take it.
Yeah.
They forget.
It's meant to be a meritocracy, one that's not risk averse. Like that's what being a leader is about. I guess messaging correctly, getting everybody on board to take well thought out and well managed risk.
Yes.
That's like especially in the operator community, but I think just in general, that's what leadership is. I mean, think about the first settlers of anywhere, or people who back in the day in Egypt who figured out how to make aqueducts in Rome and how to build a better static civilization. That's a risk. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Every great thing that's happened in human history has been associated with some level of risk.
Risk. Everything we do is risk.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% agree. This is a whole nother wormhole. But this is what happened with COVID. What the hell happened? These people went crazy. It's a 99% survival rate, and yet there was no risk.
Yeah.
We're shutting everything down.
Well, we're seeing it now, right? Like China is you couldn't get away with what they did, what they're doing here, but that's the result of it. It's like the worst kind of authoritarianism you're ever going to see.
The stuff they're doing in Shanghai now.
Yeah, that's the result of that kind of ideology. Now,
crazy.
Luckily, American people are pretty averse to that sort of thing. Well, some of them
Are we?
Yeah, I would say still a majority are, but
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's getting weird. Luckily, we've got people like you out there spreading the good word, teaching people how to fucking do shit. So
thanks, bro.
Tell us again. We got to get out of here. Tell us again where we can find you so people can check your shit.
Our website is DutchChrisMoyer.com, and we want to make it better a website, but it's getting there. DutchChrisMoyer.com. Dutch Chris Moyer Actual on IG and Facebook, and Dutch Chris Moyer on the YouTube. And yeah, I hope to see you on the range sometime this year.
Yeah, we'll see you around. Till then, we'll see you in hell.